Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are tackling something that feels like it went from, I don't know, science fiction to mandatory office utility in about 6 seconds flat.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
We are talking about generative AI. But, and this is a massive but, we are not just sitting here marveling at how cool it is. We are going to talk about why most people, and I mean the vast majority of smart professionals, are actually pretty bad at using it.
It is a harsh truth, isn't it? It's a fascinating moment in time. We all saw that absolute gold rush when tools like ChatGPT and Midjourney launched. I think ChatGPT hit 100 million users in 2 months.
2 months. It took the telephone like 70 years to do that. It took the internet years. This was basically overnight.
Exactly. But here's the catch, and this is exactly what we are digging into today. Despite that massive, record-breaking adoption, most users are stuck just scratching the surface.
Right.
They're getting results that are frankly average. They're getting generic emails, bland marketing copy, and, the dreaded hallucination.
The hallucinations.
And the reason they are getting average results is because they are feeding the machine average inputs.
Right. It's the old garbage in, garbage out rule. But now we're doing it with a supercomputer, so we just get garbage faster and with more confidence.
That's it's confidently wrong.
So to help us stop being average and start being actual power users, we are diving into a book called Prompt Engineering for Generative AI. Future-proof inputs for reliable AI outputs. It's by James Phoenix and Mike Taylor.
And it is worth noting that these two aren't just theorizing from an ivory tower. I mean, they aren't just academics writing papers. James has taught over 60 data science boot camps.
60? Wow.
Yeah, and Mike runs a marketing agency that actually uses these tools in production every single day. So this is battle-tested stuff.
They've got some heavy hitters backing them up, too. We're talking endorsements from people like Dan Schipper from Every and Mayo Ocean from Sienna Analytics, so we are in good hands.
For sure.
But before we get to the solution, let's just unpack the problem a little more. Why is the blank page so terrifying when it comes to AI? I mean, I open the chat box, there's a blinking cursor, and I just freeze up.
The blank page problem with AI is unique because these models are non-deterministic. And that's a fancy way of saying they don't give you the same answer twice.
Right.
If you type a formula into Microsoft Excel, say 2 + 2, you know exactly what you're going to get. Every single time. It's deterministic.
Predictable. Safe.
Yes. But if you type a vague prompt into ChatGPT, you are basically rolling the dice. You might get something brilliant one time and something completely useless the next.
And sometimes it confidently makes things up.
The dreaded hallucination. Yeah, it just fabricates facts with all the authority of an encyclopedia. So the mission of this deep dive and the book itself is to move us away from just guessing and hoping for the best.
Okay.
We want to stop looking for magic words or, those little hacks that you see on social media that stop working the moment the software updates.
Oh, yeah. Add 4K Ultra to your prompt and it will be better.
Exactly. Those things expire. The goal here is to master the 5 principles of prompting.
I love that distinction, principles over hacks. Because hacks have a shelf life, but principles, I mean, those tend to stick around.
They're transferable, they're timeless.
And the so what here feels huge. Whether or not prompt engineer is a real job title in 5 years, the skill of directing these things is going to be like knowing how to type or use a spreadsheet.
Absolutely. It's becoming a fundamental literacy. If you can't direct the AI effectively, you're missing out on the most powerful leverage tool of our generation. You are essentially, bringing a knife to a gunfight in the corporate world. Okay,
let's get under the hood then. And I want to spend some real time here because the book makes a really strong point. That you can't drive the car if you don't understand at least a little bit about the engine. They spend a significant amount of time explaining this concept of next token prediction. Now, usually when I hear prediction, I think of like weather forecasts. But this is different. Can you break this down? Because I think people still assume there's a little brain in there thinking thoughts like a human does.
That is the #1 misconception. It's so easy to anthropomorphize these things. We say it wants or it thinks, but the model isn't thinking in the way we understand human consciousness. It is a prediction engine.
A probability machine.
A probability machine, that's the perfect term. It is constantly asking one single, simple question. Based on all the text I've seen so far, what is the most likely chunk of text or token to come next?
So it's playing a very, very sophisticated game of fill in the blank.
Precisely. But to really understand why that matters for your prompts, you have to visualize how it makes that choice. Imagine a massive tree with, I don't know, 1,000 branches splitting off from a single trunk.
Okay, I'm picturing the tree. The trunk is the prompt I just wrote.
Exactly. You type in a prompt, the cat sat on... Now, the model looks at its training data, which is basically a huge snapshot of the internet. And it looks at all the branches available for the next word. It sees that in, say, 80% of the text it has ever read, the next branch is the word mat.
Classic. The cat sat on the mat.
It's the most common. Then maybe in 10% of cases, the branch is floor. In 5%, it's couch. And then way, way out on a tiny, thin twig, in 0.001% of cases, the next word is universe.
Right. So it has a leaderboard of words ranked by probability.
Exactly. And here's why most people get those average results. Without specific guidance, the model is designed to take the thickest branch. It takes the path of least resistance. It chooses mat because mat is the most probable statistically average answer.
So when I ask it to write a marketing email, it gives me something that sounds like every other spam email I've ever received.
It's doing exactly what it was trained to do. It is giving you the statistically average marketing email. It's finding the mat of marketing emails. It's taking that thick, well-trodden branch.
That makes so much sense. It's not that it's lazy or uncreative. It's that it's optimizing for mediocrity, because mediocrity is the most common thing on the internet.
Correct. And the book gives this brilliant example to illustrate it even further. Imagine you have a brand name, AnyFit. That's all you give it. You just feed AnyFit into the model. Now the model has to predict what comes next.
Okay, AnyFit. My brain immediately goes to clothes, shoes, something wearable.
Right. And the model does the same thing, but with hard numbers. It assigns probabilities to all those options. In the example from the source, the word shoes had a probability of just 0.88%.
Less than 1%. That's incredibly low.
It's tiny, but the word athletic had a probability of 72.35%.
Whoa! That's a huge difference. So if I don't give it any other context, if I just say, write a slogan for AnyFit, it's going to go down that athletic path almost every single time.
Exactly. It will drag you down that 72% probability path. And this brings us to the absolute core of what prompt engineering is. We are not just typing words, we are probability architects.
I like that. Probability architects.
Our job is to prune those thick average branches and to kind of force the model out onto the thinner, more interesting, more specific branches. We want to make the output we want, maybe shoes or maybe something totally wild, the most probable next token in that specific context.
That puts it in a whole new light. We are actively fighting the law of averages. And we should mention, there is a literal cost to being bad at this, right? It's not just about getting boring writing.
Oh, there is a hard cost. OpenAI and most of these providers, they charge by the token. Every word you type and every word it spits back out costs money. It might be fractions of a cent.
Sure, too small.
But at scale, for a business running thousands of these a day, that adds up very quickly. But I would argue the bigger cost is actually the ROI on your time.
How so?
If you spend 20 minutes going back and forth with the AI, editing and reprompting because you keep getting generic answers, you haven't saved any time. You've just argued with a very patient, very polite robot.
I've had many of those arguments.
We all have. Prompt engineering is about efficiency. You want to get to the high-quality output in one shot, if you can. You're optimizing for cost, quality, and reliability all at once.
Okay, so we know the machine is guessing the next word based on math. We know it wants to be average. We know we need to change the math. How do we actually do that? That leads us, I think, to principle number 1. Give direction.
This sounds so obvious, but it is where most people fail immediately. They treat the AI like a search engine. They type in marketing ideas and hit enter.
Guilty.
But the AI needs a brief. You have to think of it like a human freelancer. If you hired a freelance designer and just said, make me a logo, and then you walked away, you would probably get something terrible.
Or something super generic, because they can't read my mind. They don't know my brand or my taste.
Exactly. Naming a product is subjective. The AI cannot guess your taste. So you have to give it direction. You give it a persona or a style. The book uses a great example here. Instead of saying list shoe names,
which is what I would do,
you say brainstorm product names for a shoe that fits any foot size in the style of Steve Jobs.
Okay, I see that tip everywhere. Act like Steve Jobs. Act like a marketing genius from the 1960s. But hold on. Does the AI actually know who Steve Jobs is? Or is that just like a keyword hack? It feels a bit like magic. I type a name and the computer changes its personality. How does that work mechanically?
It's not magic, it's geometry. Remember that map of words we talked about, all those probabilities?
Like a tree, yeah.
Similar concept, but think of the model's brain like a massive multidimensional map of concepts. We call this latent space. All the words related to corporate are in one dusty corner of this map. Words like synergy, leverage, Q3, bureaucracy.
The boring corner. I know that corner well.
We all do. The beige corner. Now, when you invoke the name Steve Jobs, you are not just giving it a keyword. You are physically dragging the model's focus to a completely different neighborhood on that map. You are moving it to the design and innovation neighborhood.
Ah, okay. So in that neighborhood, the probability of the word synergy is basically 0. But the probability of a word like minimalist or revolutionary is super high.
Exactly. You're activating a different cluster of what are essentially neurons in the model. It knows that the token, Steve Jobs, is statistically associated with other tokens like Apple, minimalist, innovative, iProduct, one more thing.
So suddenly, instead of Comfy Shoe 3000, you're getting things like iFit or Perfect Step or The One.
Precisely. You have fundamentally shifted the probability distribution toward that Steve Jobs cluster of concepts. The output shifts from generic to specific because you forced the model to look in a very specific part of its brain.
That makes so much more sense. It's like telling a cab driver, don't just drive anywhere, drive to the arts district. You're giving it a destination.
Perfect analogy.
Now, there's another technique under this direction principle that I thought was super clever. They call it pre-warming or internal retrieval. It sounds like something you do to a car engine in the winter. What is it?
It's surprisingly simple, but incredibly powerful. It is the idea of asking the AI for advice before you ask it to do the actual work.
Wait. So I ask it how to do the job, and then I tell it to do the job using its own advice.
Yes. Let's stick with our shoe example. Step 1. You don't ask for names. You ask, what are the best rules for naming a product?
Okay.
The AI will list them out for you. Keep it simple, make it memorable, make it emotive, 2 syllables is often best, hint at the benefit.
So now it's actively thinking about the rules of what makes a good name.
Right. Its brain is warmed up on that topic.
Right.
Then, step 2, you follow up in the same chat and say, okay, great, using that advice you just gave me, now generate names for my shoe.
That is brilliant. You're forcing it to set its own constraints and then follow them.
You are, and mechanically what's happening is you have loaded its context window, which is its short-term memory, with high-quality concepts. So when it goes to predict the names, it is statistically more likely to pull from those high-quality rules it just generated.
So it's not just guessing randomly anymore.
No, it's primed. It produces names like Fiddlewalkers or TrueFit Universals because those names align with the simple and descriptive rules it just retrieved from its own knowledge base.
It's like Inception. You planted the idea in its head so it would do a better job for you. Does this same idea apply to images?
Mm-hmm.
Because direction feels like a very text-based concept.
Oh, it is huge for images. In tools like Midjourney, direction is often about style modifiers. If you just ask for a business meeting, you get a stock photo. It's boring, it's soulless.
Yeah, the perfectly diverse group of people laughing at a blank laptop screen.
That's the one. But if you add the direction by Van Gogh...
Oh, I can picture that immediately. Swirly orange beers and starry nights in the conference room.
Exactly. The model strips away that glossy corporate stock photo aesthetic and applies bold brushstrokes and a completely different color palette. But, and this is a key warning from the authors, you have to be very careful with conflicted directions.
What do you mean by that? Like what?
If you say, I want a realistic stock photo with realistic camera settings, 4K, hyper detailed, but also make it by Van Gogh, the model just gets confused.
Because those are 2 completely different neighborhoods on that map we talked about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You are telling it to drive to the arts district and the financial district at the exact same time. The probabilities just crash into each other. You usually get a weird, muddy, unsatisfying mess. You have to decide which direction is the dominant one.
So don't confuse the robot. Be clear about who is driving the bus.
Okay.
Let's move to principle number 2. Specify format.
Yeah.
Now, I have to be honest, when I read this section, my eyes glazed over a little bit. They started talking about JSON and SQL and Python.
Fair enough.
I'm not a developer. I don't code. I don't want to see squiggly brackets and weird syntax. Why does a regular person, say a marketer or a writer, need to care about format in a technical sense?
That is a very fair pushback, and I think it's where a lot of people tune out. But think about it this way. Do you ever find yourself manually copying and pasting things from ChatGPT into a spreadsheet, row by row?
Oh my God, yes. Every single day, I ask for a list of 20 ideas, and then I have to copy the title, paste it into Excel. Copy the description, paste it into Excel. It's so painful.
That pain is a formatting problem. Format isn't just for coders, it's for anyone who wants to actually use the data the AI generates. If you ask the AI to give you those ideas in CSV format.
CSV, what's that?
It stands for comma-separated values. You don't need to know how it works. You just need to know it's the language Excel speaks. You'll get a block of text that looks a little messy with commas everywhere, but you just copy that whole block, paste it into a single cell in Excel, and boom, it automatically separates everything into the correct columns and rows.
Wait, really? I could just ask for CSV and it does that?
Yes. You don't need to know how to write CSV. You just need to know that CSV is the format Excel likes. You are using the AI as a universal translator.
Universal translator. I usually think of that as like French to English.
Right, but these models can translate between structures too. They can translate unstructured thought into structured data. They can take a messy paragraph of your meeting notes and translate it into a clean 2-column table, or into a JSON file for a developer to plug into an app, or into a simple bulleted list.
So structure makes the output immediately usable. You're skipping the entire manual labor step.
Exactly. It makes the output functional. But formatting isn't just about these technical file types. There are formatting tactics that fundamentally change the content itself. One of my favorites, which you see all the time, is the explain it like I'm 5 constraint.
The classic ELI 5. I use that for physics concepts constantly.
It is a formatting constraint. You are forcing simplicity. If you have a dense medical text or a complex legal document full of jargon, telling the AI to output the summary in the format of explain it like I'm 5 completely changes the vocabulary and sentence structure it chooses.
That's a great point. The format isn't just the container. It actually changes the shape of the language inside. The book also lists some specific summarization formats that I thought were really practical for people in a business context.
Yes, they break it down by audience, which is a really smart way to think about formatting. So, format A might be key insights, which is for quick understanding, just the top 3 bullet points. That's for your colleague.
Right.
Format B might be decision making, which is tailored for an executive. It would have sections like problem, proposed solution, next steps. It's action-oriented.
And what was C?
Format C was collaboration, which is designed for sharing with the team. It might include open questions or areas for brainstorming.
So you're not just getting a summary, you're getting a summary formatted for a specific purpose and a specific reader.
Yeah.
It's funny because sometimes format and direction feel like they overlap quite a bit.
They absolutely do bleed together. The best way the authors describe it, and I think this is a perfect analogy, is this. Format is the bucket. Is it a JSON file, a CSV, a list of bullet points, a table?
Okay, the container.
The container. Direction is the liquid you pour into the bucket. Is it Steve Jobs style? Is it Van Gogh style? Is it simple and direct?
That's a perfect analogy. Format is the bucket, direction is the liquid. Okay, let's get to principle number 3. Provide examples. The authors call this few-shot prompting. And this, to me, seems to be where the real power users separate themselves from the amateurs.
This is probably the single biggest lever you can pull to improve the reliability and quality of your outputs. In the research world, they use these specific terms: 0-shot, 1-shot, and few-shot.
Okay, break those down for us. What do they mean?
0-shot is what most of us do most of the time. You're asking with no examples. Write a poem about a cat. That is high difficulty for the model because it has to guess entirely what you mean by a good poem. It has to guess the tone, the length, the style, the rhyming scheme.
That's what I usually do, and that's why I usually get very average, kind of cheesy results.
Right. 1-shot is when you provide one single example of a cat poem you like, and then you ask it to write another one in a similar style.
Okay.
Few-shot is where the magic happens. That's when you provide multiple examples, 3, 5, maybe 10.
And does it actually make that big of a difference? Or is it just helpful context for the AI?
The data on this is just staggering. The authors cite the original GPT-3 research paper, which was literally called Language Models Are Few-Shot Learners.
Oh.
On complex tasks, accuracy can jump from around 10% with 0-shot prompting to nearly 50% just by adding one single example.
Whoa, from 10% to 50% with one example. That is wild. That's not a small improvement.
It is a monumental leap. It's the difference between the model completely guessing and the model clearly seeing the pattern you want it to follow. When you give it examples, you are dramatically narrowing that probability tree we talked about. You are essentially showing the model, hey, ignore all those other branches. I'm looking for a branch that looks exactly like this.
But is there a downside? Can you give it too many examples? Does it become a parrot?
There is a trade-off, and it's a really important one to understand. It's reliability versus creativity. The more examples you give, the more the AI just mimics them. The book calls it the animal test.
What's the animal test?
Let's go back to our shoe names. If you ask for shoe names and you give 5 examples, and all 5 of those examples are animal-themed, panther pace, tiger tread, eagle run.
Okay, I see where this is going.
The AI will almost certainly only give you animal names in return. It will give you gazelle glide or lion leap. You have narrowed the probability cone so much that it can't think of anything else. It's locked into that pattern.
So if you want wild, out-of-the-box creativity, maybe use fewer examples or even 0. But if you want consistency, like, say, following a very specific brand voice guide, use more examples.
Precisely. If you are trying to write in your specific company voice, you absolutely want few shot. Give it 3 or 4 examples of your company's previous emails or blog posts. It will mimic that tone and vocabulary perfectly. It's the best way to get it to sound like you.
How does this work for images? You can't exactly type an image into a text box, can you?
Well, actually, you kind of can. You can type a URL. In Midjourney and Stable Diffusion, this is a core feature called image-to-image, or MG2IMG. Providing a base image is the visual version of few shot prompting.
So I could, like, upload a photo of my conference room, get a URL for it, and then paste that into the prompt.
Exactly. If you upload a photo of a meeting and use its URL at the start of your prompt, you are forcing the composition and the lighting to match that example. Even if you change the subject entirely to a group of astronauts having a meeting on Mars, the layout of the people and the way the light hits them will mirror your original photo.
That is super useful if you're trying to keep a consistent brand look and feel across a bunch of images.
It is the golden rule the authors mention in this section. If you aren't a domain expert and you can't describe exactly what you want using words, which is principle 1, then use examples, principle 3, to show the AI what good looks like.
Show, don't just tell. Makes sense. Okay, we are cruising. We have given direction, we specified the format, we provided examples. Now we hit principle number 4, evaluate quality. This one feels like the vegetable serving of the meal. Everyone knows they should do it, but nobody really wants to.
It is the vegetables, but it's what keeps your AI workflows healthy. The authors warn against what they call blind prompting, and this is what 99% of us do. We type a prompt, we see one result, we go, cool, and we copy it and assume it works every time.
Guilty as charged.
It is so dangerous, especially for professional workflows, because remember, the model is non-deterministic. Just because it worked perfectly once doesn't mean it will work the next 10 times. It might go off the rails on the 11th try.
So how do we stop blind prompting? The book suggests a spreadsheet method, but again, that sounds like a lot of work. What does that actually look like in practice?
It doesn't have to be super painful. You create a simple spreadsheet. In the first column, you put your prompt. In the next few columns, you track key metrics, and then you run that same prompt 5 or 10 times and you log the results.
And what are we tracking? Is it just good or bad?
You can start there. A simple thumbs up, thumbs down is better than nothing. But for a business, you want to get more granular. You want to track accuracy, did it get the facts right, tone, did it sound like our brand, and crucially, ground truth.
Ground truth. That sounds very philosophical.
It just means the correct answer. If you are using an AI to extract data from invoices, there is a ground truth. The invoice number is either right or it's wrong. There's no ambiguity. If the AI deviates from the ground truth, that is a fail.
And we aren't just measuring is the writing pretty, right? The book mentions other metrics like cost and latency.
Definitely. A longer, more complex prompt might give you slightly better results, but it will also cost more money in tokens and take longer to generate. You have to ask the business question. Is the extra 5% of quality I'm getting from this 500-word super prompt worth the extra 3 seconds of waiting and the extra 2 cents per run?
That's a real ROI decision, especially at scale.
And you also want to check for refusals. Does the model incorrectly refuse to answer because its safety filters are too aggressive? And of course, the big one, hallucinations.
Do we talk about hallucinations for a second? We call it a hallucination when it lies to us. But in another context, isn't that just imagination?
That's the core philosophical question, isn't it? When Midjourney creates a beautiful, impossible picture of a dragon breathing fire, That's a hallucination we asked for. We love it. It's creativity.
Right.
Or when ChatGPT invents a legal case that never happened and cites it in a legal brief, that's a hallucination we did not ask for. It's a disaster. But it's the same underlying mechanism.
It's the same probability engine just going down a creative path.
Exactly. The model is a supreme confidence artist. It doesn't know truth. It only knows probability. So when you evaluate, you are constantly checking. Is the probability engine currently aligned with reality, or has it drifted into fiction?
I noticed they mentioned permutations for Midjourney in this section. That sounds like a cool, practical way to evaluate images.
It is a fantastic feature. You can basically A/B test variables inside a single prompt using curly brackets. So you could write a prompt like stock photo, oil painting, pencil sketch of a business meeting.
So instead of running 3 different prompts.
Midjourney will run all 3 versions for you simultaneously. It will generate a grid of results, and you can just look at them and pick the winner. It allows you to see the impact of your keywords immediately without running a bunch of separate prompts manually. It's A/B testing for art.
Okay, we are on to the final principle. This is the big one that ties it all together. Principle number 5, divide labor. This sounds like something Henry Ford would say about an assembly line.
It is the assembly line concept applied to AI prompting. I think we all have a natural tendency to want the one prompt to rule them all. We want to paste in a massive paragraph of instructions and have the AI do 10 different things at once.
Write me a blog post, find the SEO keywords for it, generate a compelling title, create an image prompt for the header, and translate the whole thing to Spanish.
And then we are surprised when it forgets to translate it, or the blog post is kind of generic, where the title is lame. This is because of task decomposition. When a prompt gets too long and too complex, the AI gets distracted. The quality drops across the board because its attention is divided.
So we need to break it up into smaller, single-purpose prompts.
Yes. And there is a specific, almost magical technique here called chain of thought. You might have seen this phrase floating around, let's think step by step.
I have seen that, and it feels like a weird magic spell. Why does telling a robot to think step by step actually change anything? It feels like a placebo.
It's not a placebo, and it goes right back to that next token prediction engine. Let's look at a simple math example. If you ask the AI, Jane has 5 apples, she gives 2 to Tom, then buys 3 more, how many apples does Jane have? And you demand an answer immediately.
It has to guess the final number token right now.
It has to guess the answer token right now. It hasn't done the work yet. It's like asking a math student to shout the final answer before they've written anything on the chalkboard. They might get it right, but they might also make a simple mistake.
So it might just shout a number that feels probable, like 6.
Exactly. But if you add, let's think step by step to your prompt, you force the AI to generate the reasoning text first. It will write out, okay, first Jane has 5 apples, then she gives 2 away, so 5 minus 2 is 3. Then she buys 3 more, so 3 plus 3 is 6. The final answer is 6.
It's using the text generation as its own scratchpad.
Yes, it creates its own context. It generates these reasoning tokens that guide it step by step to the correct final answer. The accuracy on math and logic problems skyrockets when you force it to do this.
That is absolutely fascinating. It literally needs to talk it out to itself to get the right answer.
It really does. It's a way of externalizing its own thought process. And you can take this further with chaining prompts. Don't ask for the product name, the marketing description, and the logo idea in one breath.
The assembly line.
The assembly line. Step 1, generate the name. Stop. Step 2, feed that winning name into a new prompt to generate the description. Stop. Step 3, feed the description into Midjourney to get image ideas.
Each step is focused and high quality. And finally, under this principle, there is meta-prompting.
Meta-prompting, that sounds a little trippy.
It is. It just means using the AI to write prompts for the AI. You can literally give it a mediocre prompt you wrote and say, act as an expert prompt engineer, analyze this prompt and improve it for me to get a better result.
And it's surprisingly good at that, isn't it? It is often better than humans because it knows its own training data. It knows which keywords and which structures are most likely to trigger the right clusters of information in its own brain. It's like asking the car to write its own instruction manual.
Man, that is a lot of firepower in those 5 principles. Direction, format, examples, evaluate, and divide labor.
They all interact.